Good evening, chaps. My name's Ashley. I'm one of the admins on the match fishing group that was created by a very good friend of mine, Leighton. He asked me would I join him and become an admin of the group. Leighton and I live not far from each other. We go fishing quite regular. And I would like to share something with you today, guys. I've been into fishing on and off now for best part of nearly 30 years. I've had spells where I've given up and I've had long breaks. But here I am, back to it. I'm addicted to fishing. It's in me. And unfortunately, every time I give up, I regret it and I buy everything again and I try and start it all over again. So here we are. I'm going to show you something that I've had this weekend, Saturday. I spoilt myself to my very first flagship pole, the new Middy XZ65, which is just out in my hallway. It's not made it to my shed yet. For the money I paid for it, I would just say to the missus, it's just stay there for 5 legs. So anyway, something I had with it, guys. I'm just going to grab this. Very, very good with Middy. I had this full elastication pack with it. There is something extra in here that I asked for when I purchased this from Foster's of Birmingham, who I would highly recommend to anyone. Absolutely fantastic company to deal with. I was cheeky and I didn't know that I had all this in with it, and I asked them. He said to me, the chap on the phone I dealt with was Danny, and he said, what elastic do you usually use? And I said, well, I'm a fan of Hydro. I said, I use it, I love it. I said, there's no elastic like it. I've heard of other elastics that's supposed to be quite good. There's a new Dren and Bungee that's out on the market that is looking quite impressive. But Nick Gilbert is one of the ones that crops up a lot. And I've heard it's very good value for money, but I know that it doesn't last as long as Hydro. And to my disbelief then, when the pole arrived, they chucked in a couple of whites and a couple of black Hydros for me, which was amazing. Now, when I thread my top kits, my elastic, on the end, for many, many, many years as a kid, I used the plastic stonfo connectors. I'm just going to grab my box so we all know what a stonfo connector looks like, because I had these, I'm sure I've got, yeah, here we have this one there. So this is, just going to angle the camera down, guys. This is what a stonfo connector looks like. So the line would pass through this little sleeve. Got a hole there. The line would pass through there, and it would come to this, come through this hole, and we tie the elastic. So this would be slid down the elastic. Elastic comes through this hole. This slides over the top there then like that. And then obviously what we would do then is when the elastic is attached, we'll pull this end out, so to speak. I don't know how well you can see this on the camera. You can definitely see my dog playing up on the floor underneath me. But this is where we attach the looper line. So a looper line would go over this, and we'd pull, sorry, that would stay on there. And we push that in like that, so that would trap the looper line for your pole rig. And of course this is known as a usual old-fashioned stonfo connector. A lot of anglers still use them, and that's personal choice. I'll tell you my reasons for not liking these as much. When I was a kid, avid fisherman, and I was into pole fishing when I was a kid, I'd quite often find that if I'd have a couple of spare top kits set up, let's bring the camera back up, if I had a couple of top kits set up, then what would happen is a looper line in the top kit, for some reason with the stonfo, the way it led against the side of the pole, and I don't know why this would happen, the looper line would come over the pole, and sometimes I got these bad habits, or good habits if you want to call them, that whenever I get a top kit and I bait up the hook, I always just pull on the elastic just to check that everything's free. There's nothing worse obviously than getting out fishing. You hook into a decent sized fish and you can't pull the elastic out because your line is looped around your pole. Now that's what I was finding a lot of the time with stonfo connectors. Why? I don't know if my loops were too big. I've done loops of various sizes. I've tried it with small loops and I still had the same problem. And then In my late teens, I was introduced to something called Dacron connectors. Now the ones I use, again, if I have a little look, I know I've got some here. These I bought off eBay quite some time back. These are the traditional Dacron connectors. Now this is a Dacron connector, so we got a loop of line, a loop of Dacron, I beg your pardon, with this rubber on it, which I suppose you could say is a little bit big. Doesn't bother me at all. But what happens here is that you tie a knot, just a simple overhand knot in the end of the elastic. It comes through this loop. Then I would have to physically pull this rubber off now to show you. Hang on, let's angle this camera down so you can see what I'm doing. So the elastic with a knot would come through here like this. You'd pass this over there, and just like a loop the loop, it would pull back on itself. Now, this might not seem too clear. You might be thinking, Ash, this isn't making no sense. Look, I'll show you these ones I've had from Foster's this week, which is exactly the same principle, but this is clever of Dacron. So what they've done is they've already got where the line is looped through. So all you'd have to do is pull one of these connectors off this bit of tubing, push your elastic with the knot through this loop, and just slide that bead down, and that bead would tighten the Dacron onto the knot of your elastic and over your elastic, making it really, really neat. And it shows you all this on the back of the instructions that come with these. I know these are very, very popular on the market. The Dacron connectors, I'd recommend them. They look lovely. They look very neat. These are the ones I got that I've been using. Again, there's nothing wrong with these. All I simply do, I pull this rubber off, and all I do is push this through like that. And sorry, I'll pull that through. Obviously, then my elastic would have to be going through there for that to hook on it. So that would come through there like that. My elastic would pass through that hole there, and that would tighten on it, and then I just thread that rubber back over it, and that's exactly how they work. They're just like the Dacron ones, only you have to do the threading. As you can see with these Dacron ones, we don't have to do any threading. This is clever. First time I've seen them, but I mean, they're self-explanatory. You got the piece of tubing going through the loop here. So you pull your Dacron connector off the loop, put your elastic that's got an overhand knot in it, overhand loop to form a knot, and this would lie against the knot. Once you slide that down, slide it up through the elastic, pull that down, and that's never going to come off that. They're very, very nice, neat, and good connectors, Dacron connectors. However, what I've received this weekend are these, and I've never seen these before. And me being me, looked at them, didn't think of having a look at the catalogue that came with it. It's all self-explanatory in there. As a very nice chap, John Cali, have mentioned out to me. He's pointed it out. Now, what we've got here is a 2-in-1. This is absolutely fan-dabby-dozies, I think. Now then, what we've got here is this is your piece of Dacron, which I'm just going to put to the side a second. And this is the very, very, very clever gimmick. What we've got here, guys, is, I'm going to pull this apart so you can see. So we got our rubber bead, again where the elastic passes through. This elastic passes through this hole here, comes out this way. This will then slide down your elastic, right? Now, you've got the elastic here. Now, instead of making a knot and sliding your Dacron over it, this bit is what looks like a stonfo connector. You'd pass your elastic through that loop there, through the hole, tighten it with a overhand knot, however you tighten it, whether you'd just go underneath it like you'd start to tie your shoelaces and then over it again. That's another strong way of doing it. So the elastic, it tightens and it goes against here. And then, of course, once your elastic tightens there, this that you've slid down elastic comes back up. It slides over this here. But this is the bit that I think is absolutely blinking brilliant. is this bit, this your stonfo connector. You would then take this piece of Dacron, very clever by Middy, they've colour coded them as well. You'll pull that inside the loop like this. You get a little sleeve, a little silicone sleeve. You close this bead up against our Dacron like this, and you slide this down like this, and you've now turned that into a Dacron connector. If you don't like the Dacron connector, you simply pull this bead back, slide this back down your elastic, you take that Dacron off, you'd slide this up, you take the Dacron off, and you'd have your normal looper line of your rig that goes back over there. Now for those that are new to Dacrons, all you simply have to do is tie a large loop in the end of your rig, just like you traditionally do when you're fishing with a stonfo. And when you've tied the largest loop, you then make 2 loops out of the one. So grab the loop halfway down, over a knot, or I like a figure of 8 knot because it's a strong knot. So you've then made the one big loop into 2 loops. Now this might sound confusing. You simply get your scissors and you cut the top loop, the one right up the top, just cut the end of it. So then you end up with 2 tail ends. I'm going to show you on one of my rigs, because all my rigs are set up for Dacrons. I don't know how clear this is going to come out on here because it's hard to see. But basically what we've got here, and of course it's clear line, isn't it? Because I'm using Guru. Very, very hard to see. We've got, trying to catch it so it's on a dark part. We've got a loop of line, a looper line there, and then we've tied another loop in the top that I've gone like that and cut with the scissors, and we got 2 tail ends. Now simply all you do is this, you get this loop, you pass your main line through this loop like this. This would then pass over your Dacron connector and you pull. Let's try that again. This is a bit tricky for the camera because I'd like you guys to see what I'm doing. I do this on the bank without even thinking about it. There we are. Let's try again, guys. So this would be attached to my pole. That slides up. That's better. That slides down. It hits the knot on the Dacron. And that's not coming off. That's not going anywhere. Of course, your elastic is attached inside this bead. Now then, how do we get our rig off there now? Because we haven't hooked it over there. Very, very simple. This is why you've cut these 2 tails. You simply pull these. All the Dacron like that, just simply pull and off it comes. Straighten all that out and that's your rig sorted. Again guys, these are called, let me just check the technical name of them. They're called Extreme Pro connectors from Middy. I highly recommend them. I think they're fantastic. The reason for this is if you're into a fish, into a lump, you foul hooked him, he comes off. Obviously we know it'll swing back to your pole, the elastic, and the stonfo will hit your pole and it will give it a nasty smack. If it catches it the wrong way, it will chip the carbon. I've had it happen to me. But this is made of a soft rubber. I'm not saying it's not going to break anything. It depends how much tension is there. But I reckon that's going to take a much more of a shock. If you hear that, listen to that. And if I get that stonfo, and that's just... So here's the yellow stonfo, and this is this rubber bead. And if I just tap the stonfo on the rubber, I think that rubber is going to do a lot less damage to your end of your pole than what a stonfo connector is going to do. So these are the Middy Extreme pole connectors. These are the traditional Dacron connectors, available in many different forms. These are the ones I showed you earlier. The other one was just green, that's an orange one. And of course, for those who are not into Dacrons, then you've got your traditional stonfo. Hope that clears things up, guys. Thanks for everyone who has helped me, particularly John Carley. Without you, John, I wouldn't have known about these, and I read up about them, and clever. I like them. I like them a lot. It's been lovely to speak to you all, guys. I hope you have a fantastic day's fishing the next time you're out. I'm gutted because although I've had my pole this weekend, I'm away in Cornwall this weekend. The weekend after, I'm lucky enough that I'm going to fly a chopper that my other half have sorted out for me, because she's a good girl. So hopefully either that weekend, somehow, I don't know how, a day in a week or the following weekend, then we'll get this new pole out on the bank and see what it's like. Tight lines, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.